welcome to In the Classroom, an educational podcast making teaching and learning more transparent. My name is Benjamin Stewart at benjaminlstewart.org. Today is January 23rd, 2021. Today I want to talk about how we plan on using different technologies to promote certain interactions that set out to achieve learning outcomes for all of our students. So the essential question: how do you plan information and communication technologies in such a way that provides the interactions necessary to achieve learning outcomes for all students? I'm going to be teaching this spring 2021 semester Thesis Seminar, which is a 16-week course for 8th semester students. These are English language learning writers/researchers. So they're going to be conducting their own research throughout the semester. We're going to be starting on Monday, the 25th of January, and it's going to take us through the first week of June. And so students are going to have an opportunity to develop a literature review. They're going to collect data, analyze that data, and present their findings. With that in mind, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about how I want my students to interact, how I want to interact with my students, how my students can interact amongst themselves, and how students might interact with outside experts. Taking first the student-to-teacher interaction. So a lot of times this is the type of interaction that we think about first. How can we make ourselves more accessible to our students? And in my particular case, for this particular class, I'm thinking of the interactions that I'm going to be having one-on-one, since most of this course is designed to have half-hour sessions, have bi-weekly tutoring sessions where I meet one-on-one with each student for 30 minutes. We're going to have over 50 students this semester, and this is really the first time that I'll be teaching this class of over 50 students, having the whole class myself. Usually this class is divided between 2 to 3 instructors. This semester it's going to be just myself. And for the first time, this course will also be conducted online, 100% online. So one of the key questions I've been thinking about and reflecting on as we get into the semester is how I can be accessible to the student. What kind of interactions should I expect, or what kind of interactions should they expect as well as we get into the first day of class and we're talking about the different ways that we're going to be interacting. So we're going to have tutoring sessions. We're going to have bi-weekly tutoring sessions where I'll be meeting one-on-one with each student. We're also going to have whole group sessions. In fact, the first week of class, we're going to be meeting 15 hours from Monday through Friday so that we can really talk about narrowing down the topic and how we can kind of get familiar with some of the technologies that we'll be using to interact with each other throughout the semester. And thinking about not only ways of narrowing down our topic, but also getting acquainted with the research matrix, maybe looking at a literature review that in some cases students have already developed in the prior semester in academic writing, while other students are entering into the literature review for the first time. So depending on the situation, if students have already developed an idea, it's really about trying to modify that literature review, talking about the practicalities of conducting a research study this semester. So we'll be talking about research questions, a thesis statement that is very concrete and very much related to a researchable topic, one that is certainly of interest to them, but also has a literature base, that there are others that have conducted similar studies based on the problem that they're researching, and also considering the practicalities of doing their own research. Are they able to find the participants that they need to do their study? So tutoring sessions is one form of interactional pattern that will involve the students and me. Then we also have the whole group sessions, as I mentioned. And then I'm going to have separate input sessions. These are going to be just video and or audio files that I'm going to be sharing information with them each week, at least once a week, based on the conversations that I've had with students, based on just some anticipated problems maybe that they might be facing. And so that will be another form of content that will be made available to them online. And if I haven't mentioned already, I'm using Notion, and all of the show notes for this particular episode is also found in the same platform that I'll be using for the course Thesis Seminar. And all of this information you can find in the show notes. Finally, I'll also be sharing Word documents. So each student will have his or her own Word document shared with me where we can interact online throughout the process, where I can leave comments, they can leave comments and questions to me, and we can interact asynchronously using their Word document throughout the semester. So this will be another form of interaction that is, I think, very helpful for them, so that they can post questions basically anytime, and we can use that one document to talk about things that are challenging to them during their tutoring sessions, and also they can reach out to me outside of their tutoring sessions if that's necessary. So one other thing that I need to mention as well that is another form of interaction is that they're also going to be completing a bi-weekly written journal. So they're going to alternate each week between a tutoring session where we're going to meet in real time online discussing their research, and then the next week they'll be completing a reflection, a written journal. The same written journal that they're going to be completed and their tutoring session itself, they're going to be completing essentially the same form. They're going to be writing out or answering reflective questions about what they completed for the week, what do they find challenging for the week, what are they going to work on the following week, and what challenges are they anticipating for the following week. So they're going to be listing out and reflecting on those 4 questions every week. But again, one week will be a tutoring session. The following week will be just a written reflection. So for student-teacher interaction for this particular course, this is what I had in mind. And we'll be using, like I mentioned, Microsoft Word. I did not mention Microsoft Teams. This is the platform we'll be using to conduct live sessions, live meetings, whether they're whole group sessions or one-on-one tutoring sessions. The second type of interaction is student to expert. So because this is an online course, students are going to be encouraged to find online information that is helpful for them throughout the research process. So they might look at YouTube. They might find some information there that's helpful. TED Talks, essentially any place online. They're going to be also seeking information about the research process, about their own research in particular, in addition to, of course, the academic articles, their peer-reviewed journal articles that they're going to be relying on as evidence and sources of information in their text. They are also obviously going to have the internet available to reach out to experts as needed. So this is another very important type of interaction that's going to be encouraged throughout the semester, and so that they're able to find another source of information instead of just myself. This will also include any interactions that they have with instructors that they've had in the past, any instructors in our BA program. They are also going to be encouraged to reach out to them to discuss their research, to get additional different types of opinions based on what they're doing. I always encourage my students to get a second opinion. Everything that I mention is most of the time in the form of a suggestion, depending on what we're talking about, but it's always good for them to get additional information, to to have more perspective. Now, the third type of interaction, student-to-student interaction, is one that is, I think, for this particular course, the most challenging, but I think one that I'm going to, especially this semester, I'm going to really try to promote. It's going to have to occur intrinsically on their part, in the sense that it's not going to be a requirement. It's not going to be something that is really embedded within the class itself, but many suggestions throughout the semester I'm going to be will relate to ways that they could interact amongst themselves. Because the Word documents are being shared, because of a lot of the content is being shared openly, online, publicly, much of what we do, they're able to see basically almost everything that we're doing for the semester. So this is going to involve them checking with each other, especially those who have maybe research studies that are very similar, that they are sharing their experiences, their challenges with each other. And not that they are copying from each other, but that they're getting ideas and perspectives from other classmates that are experiencing the same thing or something similar. So the way that I plan to promote this, in fact, many of the forms of teacher accessibility that I mentioned before are going to be in place to help them also interact with themselves. For example, the tutoring sessions are all going to be recorded, and they're all going to have access to each other's tutoring sessions. So as they become familiar with their own study and the studies of their classmates, and they get to see kind of who have studies that are very similar, and this is going to be communicated basically through a maybe an Excel spreadsheet where they all list their topics and their names. They can kind of see who's researching what. They can seek out these recordings to see what kind of feedback that I'm giving their classmates. I think this is very useful because really in the course like this, I almost end up saying pretty much the same thing to each student multiple times throughout, week to week, throughout the semester. So I think it's important for them to hear what I suggest other students to do. And, in some cases, of course, maybe there's something different, but there's probably going to be some similarities as well. So I think there's value in sharing these tutoring sessions. Again, the tutoring sessions are one-on-one, but they're going to be recorded and shared in a folder where all students will have access to all of the tutoring sessions for them to listen to at their leisure. The whole group sessions that we're going to be meeting online in Microsoft Teams, those are also going to be recorded. So this is also another way that they can go back and listen to the recording if they missed something. If for some reason they missed a class, they are able to go back and listen to those discussions. So I think it's very important that all of the whole group sessions, as well as the tutoring sessions, are recorded and made available to all students. The input sessions, of course, are going to be made available. In fact, those are just cases where I'm going to be creating a video or an audio, maybe even a space in the Notion page where the course content can be found, where they can have access to different pieces of information related to the research process. So this is something that they can take and then form a question or discussion with their classmates. They need to talk about something. Of course, they're encouraged to reach out to me individually, but they're also going to be encouraged to work amongst themselves around the different topics that are being produced in the form of these input sessions. And the Word documents are, at this point, are going to be limited to probably most of the interactions between students and myself. There might be some cases where they can share each other's Word documents, but I've found that if students are interacting amongst themselves around the tutoring sessions that are being recorded, the whole group sessions that are also being recorded, and also the input sessions, which were obviously recorded, that is, I think, very helpful for them in really learning amongst themselves. A lot of times students explaining things to each other, they oftentimes can do it and understand better if they hear it from a classmate. So this is another way that I'm going to be promoting student-to-student interactions, right? In addition to student-to-expert interactions, as well as student-to-teacher interactions. The focus for this particular course, Thesis Seminar, that's going to be 100% online, that is primarily going to be in the form of one-on-one tutoring sessions. The idea is to continue to promote interactions in different forms of interactions throughout the semester. So, in your particular case, what do you think about today's topic? What insights can you provide in terms of the technologies that you're going to be using and the forms or types of interactions that are most appropriate for your students to achieve their learning outcomes? Feel free to leave a comment about today's topic in today's show notes. I'll leave a link in the description. Or also feel free to leave me a message using my Twitter handle @BNLEEZ. This has been In the Classroom, an educational podcast making teaching and learning more transparent. Thanks for listening.